Hey y'all, when it comes to the AC business, trust goes a long way, and that's why I recommend Cool Kings Heating and Air. The good folks at Cool Kings are licensed and experienced technicians that provide the top-notch service that you deserve throughout Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas. They offer everything from emergency AC repair to complete AC replacements and maintenance plans tailored to keep your system running all year round. And right now, you can get financing on a brand new heating and cooling system totally interest-free. That's 0% interest on a brand new system. Give them a call at 225-681-2665 for more information, or visit them on the web at coolkingsheatingandair.com. Cool Kings Heating and Air is a verified partner of Local Leaders, the podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Local Leaders, the podcast. And today I am joined by Livingston Parish Sheriff Jason Ard. So before we go any further, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jim. It's always good to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you here, and another year has flown by. They go by so quick.
They do. They do.
One of your flagship programs, of course, is the Christmas Crusade. Mm-hmm. How many years has this been?
So we are in our 38th year.
38th year.
38 years. I'm not going to try to do the math, but I think it was like 86, 87. This program was actually started under Sheriff Odom Graves, Sheriff, which would later become Sheriff Willie Graves, but I think he was the chief deputy at the time. Yeah. They kind of came up with this idea of trying to help these underprivileged children in Livingston Parish and how they could give them the opportunity to have a Merry Christmas. And so that's where the program kind of was created, started up, and Sheriff Graves, allowed him to do it. Willie Graves kind of started. His wife Elaine was very instrumental in it, and here we are today, still doing it. And it was it's a great program. As always, you hate that you have to do those type programs, but unfortunately, it happens. You have people that go through tough times. Sure. And we are very blessed to be in a position to be able to bless and help people that need this. And look, on every Christmas morning, one of the greatest things is knowing that there are other children in our area that is having a Merry Christmas because of this program. But this program is only as good as the people that get behind it make it. That's right. And having these business owners and the citizens, the deputies that volunteer hours upon hours, my wife Erica, who jumps in and she spearheads the program. Yeah. Very organized. She does all the shopping, ordering. It is a huge ordeal. And I don't know if you ever had an opportunity to see the setup, but it's like a miniature Walmart. Yeah. And this is something they've already started prepping, and they do a very good job of finding out like what is the hot item. I don't want this child to be playing with a wooden toy and be the only one in the neighborhood while all the other kids in the neighborhood has the hot item. And it changes every year. Every year. Hard to keep up with, I'm sure. Is. Well, when you have 400 deputies and they have, we're having new babies in the LPSO family, it seems like once a week. Yeah. And so many different ages, we're able to kind of keep up with what's hot, what's not, what's in this year, what does kids really want, what the little girls want, what's the little boys want. Like what is that item that they are wanting under that Christmas tree, Yeah. And of course, this program really focuses on 0 to 12-year-olds. But we do have some partnerships to help with some teenagers through the Kiwanis Club, Dental Springs, and other organizations do reach out. We work really close with the school system because there's a lot of teenage kids too that won't get a Christmas or don't get anything. So we try to help them out as well if we're able, and we're able to make the right connections to make that happen.
Yeah, and it's what I really like about the program, looking in from the outside, is the impact that the program makes, not only from the standpoint of the child receiving the toy, for example. The deputies makes an impact on the deputies. It makes an impact on the business owners that get behind this program. Maybe they hold their own, bring your toys up here and we'll get them to the sheriff's department. But you see your guys out there and gals, and they are, dedicating their own time, their own hours, as you say, to
they do. And it's very heartwarming when these deputies, they just, and I know this from experience too, I mean, we see a lot. We really do.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you're in a situation as a law enforcement officer and you see sometimes people at their worst. And when these deputies, like we send these deputies out a lot of times to check homes. Like somebody come in, they'll sign up for the program, and we have to keep the integrity of the program.
Sure.
So we have people to make large donations and we have people to make small donations, but we're going to make sure that integrity of that program is very much professional and we're spending your money wisely. So we have to check areas.
Absolutely.
Let's check people's background sometimes, and the deputies will go out and, they so many times, I can't even keep up with just dozens and dozens of times. Look, man, these people, I just went, look, they need more than just presents. Like they don't have no food. They get their electricity's not on. So that has created over years partnerships with other organizations. So Mighty Moms has helped us a lot when it comes to the food.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of churches that has helped us out with even furniture for families, getting electricity turned on. I mean, it's so many things and a lot of that is because of the deputies being good at observing the things that they're going into these homes and looking at them. But the coolest thing every year for me, and it happens every single year, is the deputies that come in, and it's a lot of them that actually sign people up.
Yeah.
And these are people that they have ran across, our citizens that they've had to deal with. I had to put a mom in jail, I had to put a dad in jail, a guardian in jail, what have you.
Yeah.
And those deputies will sign this family up, say, look, this family's in need. We checked it out. We want to give them a good Christmas. No matter what the reason is we were there to do our job, we still are trying to be as, compassionate.
Right.
And fill a void there. Well, that deputy is usually the same deputy that is adamant that he gets to take those toys to those kids.
Wow. And
that's a big deal to be able to see that, because, we're not Superman, right? We don't have a heart of steel. We're going to have that moment where we don't want people to just see us like that. We want those kids to know that, hey, look, we're good people.
Yeah.
But we have a job to do. So to be able to flip that script in a child's eyes, I think is important to those deputies. I know it's important to them. So we see a lot of that. Yeah. And it just says a lot about the program and what goes on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. And the deputies that you see at all three Walmart locations and Bass Pro, they're not being paid to be there.
Right.
They're volunteering their time.
Yeah.
They get off at 4 o'clock and they go to that Walmart and they sit there until dark or until we close. And so we have to have all hands on deck. They believe in this program. We have had deputies and divisions come together because they'll adopt a family. They'll just do it. Hey, they came in. I know we're taking care of toys, but we know they need clothes and they need this. We're going to do it ourselves. And those are, again, stories that no one hears about because they don't want you to hear about them.
Yeah.
They just want to make sure that they take care of that family. And again, all this is, I guess, is doable because of the people that has gotten behind this program and what we've built in 38 years, and to be able to bless those families. And look, it just makes it's a lot of work, but it's an exciting time of year for us.
It really, look, personally, my favorite program in the parish, as far as, I always say nationally, my favorite charity, and I hate to say favorite because there's so many worthwhile, but the one that I really work hard to give to is St. Jude.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because I've toured that facility and I've seen for my own eyes these children. And I know where that money's going.
And you feel, look, and if you've been to St. Jude, anybody that's listening has been to St. Jude, you feel that presence when you walk in the door.
It's unbelievable. I get chills thinking about it. And your program is very similar. I see where that's going. And that's why I love to promote it every year. And look, investing in children, you'd be hard pressed to find anything more worthwhile than that. Now, Livingston Parish, we keep growing, Sheriff.
Yeah.
Every year, we are the fastest growing parish in the state of Louisiana this year. First of all, I want to tell you, and this is not what you came here for, but what an amazing job you've done leading the Sheriff's Department relative to keeping us safe. Mm-hmm. When you're the fastest growing parish, that's a hard thing to do.
It is. It is. It's a challenge. It's a constant challenge because, one of the biggest things that for me as a leader is making sure my deputies have all the tools they need to do their job.
Yeah.
And one of the things they ask for more than anything else is just more personnel. Right. We need more help help doing that. And we're growing so fast that it's definitely some growing pains there. But we do. I feel like we do a really good job of trying to make sure that every single division we have is efficient. Going back and rechecking those divisions to see if those divisions are still doing a really just cause, or do we need to, do away with that, open another one up, and then you watch your crimes to where back in, I guess, probably 15 years ago. I've been the sheriff for 14 years. So when I took over, we were detectives.
Yeah.
And you had a narcotic division, and that's it. So you worked from a sex crime, a child molestation, could be a homicide, a robbery. You did it all. You were an investigator, no matter what it was. Now we actually have a sex crime division. That's all they do. Yeah. The ICAC group. Huge. We have a division that's financial crimes, and that's a big, big deal. I have two guys. We just added one just recently because financial crimes is just getting to be a really big ordeal because of the internet. Technology. And it's you wouldn't believe the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we have been able to recover, and through a person that was just doing a transaction or wiring money, and it's captured by some of these people that are scamming people, and they'll capture that money and reroute that wire to somewhere else. And the crypto coins, look, if I could ever turn the crypto into money, I could absolutely not have to collect taxes one year. Yeah. But it's just crypto money. Yeah. We didn't even know. I know that taxes is a sore subject, people. but we didn't even know, you have so much of that going on out there. We wasn't prepared for hey, we need to do something with this crypto money that we're seizing. What are you going to do with that? Yeah. So it's so many things that are going on. Narcotics. Y'all keep up with them. If you don't keep up with Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, we have a fabulous social media team. Yeah. And we have an app, and we do, I think, a great job of trying to educate and keep you in the know of what's going on around the parish. Our narcotic guys, they specialize in putting these bad guys in jail, on these drug dealers, and they do excellent. We have made some really good cases. Last year, not only did we take over 150 individual doses of fentanyl off the 150,000 doses of fentanyl off the street, individual doses. Wow. That person's in prison for pretty much life.
Yeah.
Him and the other guy, they got 99 years, who was one of the other big drug users. So, and whenever you talk about that, you talk about the fact of the abuse problem we have here in Livingston Parish, and where fentanyl was killing so many people. And we go back to 2022 or 2023, whenever we had 120 something people that died from a fentanyl overdose in Livingston Parish. And we beef up narcotics, start doing what we do, and you see those numbers drop to where you find the two main guys, you put them behind bars for life, and then your next thing you know, your stats 4 people overdosed.
Unbelievable.
It's just, we have those things that are happening. And I say it's behind the scenes because sometimes you know about it, sometimes you don't. But but this fast growing parish has caused us to have to think out the box and try to specialize, like domestic violence. We have a domestic violence unit. That's all they do, is work with domestic violence victims. And those individual investigators are very knowledgeable with that type of crime. And so now when you have a domestic violence related homicide, that's who goes in and works that homicide.
Yeah.
And they know and understand. And of course, when we have any type of homicide, all boots are on the ground. Sure. And all these divisions work together. But we've been able to specialize and do those type of things to be able to give you a more professional law enforcement service. And sometimes it's hard to do that, but we are fortunate to be able to offer and provide that for our community.
Yeah, it's, and you mentioned briefly ICAC. I want to talk about that quickly, because that's a program that the sheriffs throughout the state of Louisiana participate in.
Yes.
Your particular division has really done some amazing things. I know you have some stats regarding ICAC specifically. I want to cover those quickly.
So yeah, and ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children. Yeah. And so it's a task force that from the Attorney General's office. Liz Merle actually had one of her people approach me, Chris Masters, who actually I spoke to, wanted to kind of get us involved in his ICAC program. And so I didn't know a lot about it. I am known in the law enforcement world. I'm not a big task force guy. And the reason I'm not a big task force person is because I want to make sure that my citizens are getting the service they deserve. And sometimes these task force will pull this deputy away from Livingston Parish and focus on another parish or what have you. And that's just kind of my views on it. Now, there are very good task force. We are a member and have some type of, our hands are some kind of connection with them. So we work with them. I've just have never been a fan. And the reason I'm telling you that is, so I was approached about this ICAC before in the past. Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't really, and look, and sometimes when you're in a position that like I'm in, slow down a minute and really look and pay attention. Well, my stats wasn't showing that I really needed to be a part of something like that. And one of the biggest things about having been able to have a member on a task force is having the right deputy that can do it. So when I was approached, I sat down with Chris Masters. He was kind of my contact. Me and him had, some conversation. And I'm going to go ahead and throw him under the bus. Kyle Hotard, one of my deputies, he approached me about this ICAC task force. He said, Sheriff, I've been, looking into this. I really would love to be involved in this. I kind of want to make this happen. So we kind of started having the meetings and kind of liked what I seen. One of the biggest things is there's a lot of times when you run a big agency like this, and I really want the citizens, if you tuned out, tune back in, because I want you to listen to this part. There's always that time where maybe a detective doesn't give you maybe the justice you thought that you deserved, or maybe you made a complaint and you feel like that it didn't get looked at, or the ball got dropped, and they'll call the AG's office, the ICAC task force, and then that ICAC task force will usually reroute that back to my ICAC division, and we will relook at it. Yeah. Well, I really like that, because there's so many times that I have no clue that detective dropped that ball. Okay. Yeah. We're a big agency. And sometimes if you don't make a complaint, we don't know that. And you have people that'll call me directly and we look into that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what kind of maybe got the ball rolling a little bit. And then before I knew it, it was just exploding because these deputies that I had was trained. I had Kyle. I kind of put him under one of my captains, which is Calvin Bowden, and said, look, let's just kind of monitor this. And then we started looking at a lot of our sex cases that had been coming through. We had a lot of good ones, but we had a lot of failures. And that made me revamp. And I actually did we now have 4 detectives that only do sex crimes. They do nothing else. We did have juveniles doing sex crimes and juvenile stuff. And that can get to where, like I said earlier, you can be more efficient by having a sex crimes investigator. Yeah. And so that's what we did. ICAC was one person, which was Kyle. We now have 3 people in our ICAC division. Probably could use 4 or 5 more. And they are killing it. Yeah. I mean, these individuals, they work really well together. A lot of investigations lead over to each other from your just your sex crimes division, which is dealing more with victims. Your ICAC division is dealing a lot with people that are on the internet seeking out these predators. I say on the internet seeking out their prey, and so it's more of a proactive unit trying to identify and catch these predators before they actually get a victim. But through that, we've arrested over 185 people. We've been in almost 2 years. So less than 2 years when we started ICAC. It's right at 185 people that's been arrested.
Nearly 200.
Yes.
Wow.
Already and these are good cases. They're disturbing cases, but they're good prosecution. And what I've always, and I'm going to look at these numbers because they change all the time. And this is the thing that really gets me whenever we talk about this. So we've been in 36 different states when we do these investigations. So we've touched over 36 different states. Our investigation has led us. That means also we've arrested people from 36 different states, 13 plus countries. Countries. Now, you see these, when you see us go out and we put this stuff out on social media, really pay attention to where these predators are from. Not all of them are from Livingston Parish.
Right.
Most of the time, a small majority of them are from Livingston. They're from all over the areas around us, and we basically get them to come here, and we make that arrest. Yeah. They think that they're talking to a 13-year-old child or a 14-year-old child. In reality, they're talking to an undercover deputy. Yeah. And we have procedures to make sure we do it the right way and making a good investigation. But the number I wanted to share with you that is amazing to me, that this number is what makes me keep doing this, what makes me want to do more, is that we have identified 78 child victims that was unknown to law enforcement or their parents. So really think about that, Jim.
Yeah.
78 children that has been victimized. The parents didn't know they were a victim, nor did law enforcement because it wasn't reported.
Sure.
But through these investigations with this unit, and look, we work really well with Liz Merle and her team and other agencies. When you're able to get a perpetrator off the street, and through that investigation, get him arrested, working the case, and then working these devices and stuff, and find out that he had some victims out there that we didn't know about.
Yeah.
And now you're bringing them justice, and they were usually quiet because they're scared. They thought they did wrong, or whatever the case may be. But you're dealing with a young mind that's very vulnerable, and these sick individuals are seeking that. They're trying to figure that out, and I think the numbers are over 500,000 predators online 24/7 at any given time. And what they're doing is they're going after your children while they're playing on these gaming, any type of social media platform that has a chat room. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
And so go back to the incident we had with the 18 or 19-year-old man that we arrested in Denham Springs that was seeking out 11-year-olds through Snapchat. And he was able to find their location because they had their location on the phone. They didn't really know any better. And that's how he manipulated him into giving him videos and photos, and then he would threaten them and then later on rape them. These individuals are real and they're out there. And the parents and your guardians and grandparents, if we don't educate ourselves and really pay attention to what our kids are doing in these social media, with the social media, just the devices that are in their hand, that cell phone, that is just a straight line to that. And look, we're busy. We have busy lifestyles. There's no reason for a child that's 7 years old or 6 year old to have a phone.
Amen.
It just, I'm telling you, and I know that we're busy, and hey, I just want them just to call me. Those kids are very intelligent. They're going to learn that system. If they don't learn it because they have one in their hand, the kid sitting next to them will teach them what they need. Because look, all of us, Jim, Jason here, we learn from our buddies and they learn from us.
That's right.
And now you have a device that can connect to anywhere in the world. They can find out any information they want. You can't even tell Uncle Johnny stories no more because they can tell you it's false. That ain't true. Uncle Johnny ain't the one that went to the moon. It's this guy right here. It's the Armstrong guy.
Yeah.
It's right here. I looked it up. And so you can't even really joke with your kids anymore like we were. I mean, I don't know about you, but my uncles used to make me believe all kind of stuff.
Same.
Yeah. But we didn't have something to go look it up. Yeah. And I say all this because our kids are such, they're on a level of intelligence right now at a young age that's scary. But I don't want to take away from the fact of what they need to be focused on, us as parents, is how vulnerable they are right now with those cell phones. And this is so real. We do these things. Everybody knows Chris Hansen is located in Livingston Parish.
Oh, yeah.
Very good friend of mine. The way Chris Hansen and I met is he actually reached out to me about a case that he wanted to talk to me about. I said, no problem. And we were going to interview. And through that, he actually started watching my social media page. And next thing you know, he calls me a couple months later and said, hey, man, I see y'all got some really nice cases going on. And, you know, that's kind of what I do. And I'd love to work some operations with you guys. Would you be willing to do that? And I was like, you know, sure. No, let me think about it. I didn't have to think about it. I mean, it's Chris Hansen. Everybody would love to see that. So, yeah,
check
man.
My schedule.
Yeah. So we invited him down, and, you know, he comes down. We started kind of doing these operations, and he's a really genuine guy. And, man, the things that we have seen, and look, I'm in my 33rd year, and I've seen some things in law enforcement, but when we get on these operations, it's always something new.
Yeah.
And it is crazy, and it is very, very scary. I am very, I don't know how a parent does what they do today that has young children. I really don't. It's got to be difficult.
Has to be.
You know, my kids, they were raised in the era where cell phones was kind of getting, coming up. And I remember my son, he didn't get a cell phone. He was 12 years old. And my daughter was right behind him, and she knew exactly how old my son was when he got his, and she expected to get hers at the same time or maybe a little earlier. But I just knew those cell phones were not good, but not at the educational level I have today. And again, the gaming, all these kids that are gaming and just these social media chat platforms, God, they're so scary. So
many ways to reach them. And
it is.
I do want to say you nailed it when you said, you know, these kids are a lot smarter than you think. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you an example just this week. A case broke in Louisiana where a 13-year-old male was making deep fake images of a 13-year-old female. Now, that's child pornography.
Yeah.
You know, there's laws against that. And this has created a firestorm in that area. But I have no idea how to make that. This 13-year-old kid, it was probably no problem for him to do that. And these deep fake images look real. They look exactly like as if that person was taking a picture. And so that's how smart these kids are today. And predators is exactly the perfect name for what those people are that seek them out.
Yeah.
Amazing job. And one thing I really like about what your office has done with that ICAC program is you turned it into proactive rather than reactive policing. Right. You're catching these predators before anything happens. Yes. Instead of someone making a report saying, that my child was raped by this adult, and you're starting from the back end. You're catching it in the front end.
Yeah, and we've had these incidents where these individuals have came over here with guns.
Oh, wow.
They came over from areas, Biloxi, Arkansas. I mean, they've drove down here.
Arkansas, state's over.
State that drove down here to have intercourse in their mind with this juvenile, 13, 14 years old. I mean, what are they going to do if it's actually a 13, 14-year-old female and male? Because it could be boy or girl. We've arrested them for both. And this actually happens. Are they going to just leave knowing that this person, this child is not ever going to say nothing? Are they going to threaten them? Are they going to become somebody that they, going to be haunted by the rest of their life? I mean, think about it. 78 victims were already unknown. Yeah. That has been victims that wouldn't tell nobody. And remember this, nobody wants to disappoint their family, right? Your parents, that's one thing you don't want to do as a child is disappoint.
That's right.
Your father or disappoint your mother. I mean, we make our parents mad all the time. That's different.
Yeah.
It really is. Disappointment is these predators, they prey on that.
Yeah.
And they know what they can and can't do. And dozens and dozens and dozens of people that we've arrested, I think earlier it was 185 that we've arrested. There's a large majority of them that without a doubt have done this before.
Yeah.
Before we called them, this was not their first rodeo. It probably wasn't their second rodeo, but it was damn sure their last because they in my prison.
The Jason Ard?
The Jason Ard Hotel Motel. And I can tell you that we have worked really hard with Scott Perlew on this. We have stayed on top of this to make sure we get the best prosecution as possible. And it is working. And I know that when talking to the ICAC guys, when they tell you, as soon as they find out, see Denham Springs or anything to do with Livingston, they usually ghost us.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then what will we do? Well, that's why we have been actively helping Liz Merle get all sheriffs on board, because I want you to ghost the state of Louisiana.
That's right.
And we now have a great partnership. I don't know how many sheriffs are on, but I think it's over 58 now. If it's not 58, it's going to be really close. There's 64 of us. And Liz has done a great job, her and Chris Masters, of going around talking to these sheriffs. I do my best of trying to pick on a fellow sheriff to tell him, why ain't you a part of this division? You're not good enough. Just kind of having that relationship of being a little competitive, and we do that because we need them to be a part of this team. And so the last operation we did in the Watson area. I think it was on Fox News the other night.
Yes, saw that.
One was a doctor. We had some individuals in their 40s that decided to go swimming in a swimming pool, and it's just crazy stuff. And I actually when I walked in the room, I just want people to know, when I walked in the room, we had people there from East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office, Ascension Sheriff's Office, several PDs, Slidell. I'm gonna miss somebody, but it was several of them. This is not just Livingston Parish deputies. This is a task force from all over, and we're working. And like I said, we're making these cases. We've arrested, I think, one or two individuals out of the 11 or 12 we arrested that night were from Livingston. And you have Baton Rouge. We've arrested them before from Biloxi. They've drove from Biloxi. I mean, it's crazy how far this is spread. And I actually was afforded the opportunity to Representative Kelly Hennessy to come over and actually be a part of that sting. And she took that opportunity. Matter of fact, I think she was so interested and intrigued by it. I left about several hours before she did. I think she hung around and worked with them most of the night just to learn and educate, to see what we're doing with boots on the ground and these operations. And I wanted them to see that. Now, this is one of our representatives because, hey,
yes,
we might need some money over this way for this. Liz may need some money, and now they know the importance of these sting operations. These are not something that we just sitting around twiddling our thumbs, trying to make this stuff up. This is real. And everybody we put in jail, we're stopping them from victimizing someone's child.
That's right. And these people are legislating law.
Right.
And when they see that firsthand, and it's one thing to see it on the TV, it's another thing to be there and witness it. I'm sure it had an impact on Representative Hennessy.
Oh, it did. And it was one of them things that it just kind of an idea came to me. And of course, I'm sure that I'm going to have, Roger and Shane and all of them going to be calling me, what about us,
Yeah.
And hey, come on.
You
need to see what we do here. When you go behind the scenes and you're able to sit and watch these individuals work. And I think one thing that Kelly will tell you is the way these deputies were so into it. Like they were, and then from one moment they were sitting there kind of doing their work, explain how they're doing it, and boom, jumping up, putting vest on, guys on the way, he'll be here in a minute, and went from investigative mode to tactical mode that quick.
Wow.
And it is absolutely something that is, it needed to happen. I wish I'd have done it years ago. I'm not scared to say that. I'm glad I'm doing it now, and I'm glad that we're in a position to pretty much lead the way for the state of Louisiana. And work really close to an attorney general I think is doing a great job. We have a great working relationship, and we have the right people that are sitting in the right chairs to be able to make this thing happen. And so I hope that we are continuing this fight. And again, my goal is to have this predator click on any address in Louisiana and say, you know what, I better not even go there.
That's right.
And that's our hopes. And I hope that we can eventually tackle this nationwide. And I know they're working on it. And it's a big thing to say, but I see what we're doing on a small scale and the impact that we're making. It's out there, it's real, and we just can't stop fighting it.
And I can tell you that just reading through the chatter that I read through on social media, like Facebook, the reputation that Livingston Parish specifically is getting for don't go there.
Right.
Don't
come there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Don't. I can't believe these people keep going back to Livingston Parish. They're not getting away with it there. And that's a reflection of your affiliation with Chris Hansen and this thing going national.
Right.
Like you said, some of these people don't live here. But
don't.
they're familiarizing themselves because of the True Blue Network and the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office working so closely with Chris Hansen's television
we
show.
did the second sting with Chris Hansen in the same area, at the same house.
Yeah, the same house. 3
months later, just as many people.
Yeah.
Like if you watch some of the episodes, you know where we're at. And, now we're moving around, but it's like, I don't know. Chris is big asking the same question is, why do you do this? Why do you do it? And he said he's never got an answer.
Never.
So I think they have something wrong with them, mental capacity, whatever, but I don't care what it is. You're not going to do it here in Livingston Parish.
Yeah.
We're going to catch you, and we're going to make sure that you get not only justice, but just the fullest conviction I can possibly give you. And I'm glad, again, that Scott Pearlou got on board and has really done a good job of helping us get these prosecutions when it comes to these type cases.
He really has. And, you're protecting the children, doing a great job of that. And that leads me into my next topic, which is another program that you started. This is the school safety detail. Of course, thank God, we've never had to deal with some major school shooting like they've had Uvalde, these places that all of us have heard of, broke all of our hearts seeing just horrific tragedies like that. But that doesn't stop your department, Sheriff Ard, from ensuring that we're doing everything we can to protect those kids, and school safety detail is a big deal. Tell us about that.
It is. And look, several years back, I actually tried to pass a sales tax to try to make sure I can put an officer in each school. And, knowing what I know today and once we got through that, of course, it failed. And I'm glad it did, because I don't know, even today, it's really tough to get that. We have 52 sites, 49 with kids.
Wow.
So it'd have been really challenging to try to hire that many people to do that. Now, I'm not saying that I wouldn't, if it did pass, I would have absolutely did my best to try to do that. But at the end of the day, that's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Right. But I always wanted this. And the very first thing I did in 2012 was put the very first school resource officer in the Livingston Parish School outside of Denham Springs.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was Aaron Bond. He actually was working with East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. I got in negotiation with him as I was running. I said, I want you to come over here. I want to start a school resource officer. We put him in Watson, kind of the rural area, heavily populated. That's where we kind of started. And I wanted that not only because he had a gun on his hip to protect our kids, but be mentors, because they have a kind of a role, right? Build trust in these children, and to know that they can come to us if they have a problem. So it was so many objectives there to try to reach. Well, we now have close to right at 13 school resource officers.
Yeah. And
so just trying to think of how we could do a better job of securing our securing our schools. How can we make this happen? The superintendent at the time was Murphy. He was actually who the superintendent was.
Yeah.
I went to him and we had a conversation, and we just basically said, look, let's do this. Let's do a 60-40 split. Let's just dedicate a certain amount of money to school safety, and we'll start getting these deputies to go off duty and sit at some of these schools. Let's just see where it goes. So we dedicated, I think it was, I'll go ahead and say, I think it was like close to $3 million, okay? Because we did a math, like we have 52 sites, 49 with kids. We have ball games all the time. We have all this stuff going. So we did a kind of a math of what it would cost us, and the math came up to be around $3 million. So I said, okay, well, I'll dedicate a portion of that. You dedicate a portion, and that's what that's used for. Okay. Well, we have a lot of deputies on the ground, but it's sometimes hard to have 49.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but what that did was allow us to build that program. And I don't want to use numbers. It's a high number of deputies that are in the schools, because I don't want people to try to figure that out. It's just a safety thing with me.
Sure.
But these deputies are at this school. We put in over 30,000 hours, boots on the ground hours at these schools.
Wow.
Since we started. And that's the 24, 25. When you pass a school and you see a unit, they sitting there and they kind of watching the parking lot. They do get out of the unit. They do walk to schools. There's things that they do. The biggest thing for me is to have somebody that's paying attention to what's going on at that school.
Yeah.
There's somebody walking up on this campus looking suspicious with a hoodie on. Most of them will drive up. If you look at all the school shootings, they drive up and get out of a car, or they come from walking down the road with an AR-15 in their hand. So we're looking for that person trying to get into that school. Most of the time you have a school resource officer that's inside the school, right? That's all day long. They rotate in these schools. They're always, you don't know what school they're going to be in, but they're in these schools all day long. This security guy is watching our schools too. He has contact with people inside. He's just kind of watching over them.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had people say, well, why don't they write tickets? Well, tickets are important, and trying to keep the roads safe, and that's important. But if I were going to take over the school, the first thing I would do is have you, Jim, make that deputy pull you over and write you a ticket.
Yeah. So
I can get in that school and I'll take care of every one of them kids while you have him down there distracted. Yeah. That's why their sole job is to watch those children and watch that school and look for any kind of suspicious activity, and then they approach it.
Yeah.
And we have had a lot of incidents that they have stopped. And a lot of times we don't appreciate the things that go on. I use the word behind the scenes a lot because we have a lot that goes on behind the scenes. One of those is when we have a divorce court at the courthouse and one of the parents don't get their way, it usually winds up at the school.
Yeah.
And sometimes before we can get somebody there. That don't happen anymore.
That's huge.
That is. And that's, let me tell you, what you don't want to deal with is an angry father or angry mother, and you're in between them and their children. I don't ever want to be in that position. Unfortunately, we get there, but we got to make sure that we keep everybody safe.
Yeah.
And those are just the unfortunate situations that we find ourselves in because that's our job. That's just what we do. But that school safety has been a big thing for our kids. It makes me feel good as a father to know that these vehicles are there. I didn't have that when my daughters and my son was in school, but they did have the school resource officer program.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that this man right here drove by that school several times when we had a shooting somewheres just to put my eyes on one of my child's vehicles. I have to see them. I just need to see their vehicle.
Yeah.
Seen a deputy in a parking lot, or mine went to Walker, so just to know the Walker officer was there made me feel better as a parent.
Sure.
I experienced that. So this is just trying to do our part. We also have been able to use these security guys to move them. Sometimes we have these ball games. I know last year, or was the year before last, kind of had a bunch of problems at one of the schools where there was a lot of fights, and we may have some. Some of these football games or even basketball games, we get these rivals where they get a little bit out the box, some threats go down, they, do go a little bit overboard with some of their pranks. And to be able to pull these guys in is big.
Yeah.
It's big to show that presence. And look, I don't want us to do anything on Friday night but enjoy Friday night football, right?
Yeah.
When I go to a basketball game, I want to enjoy a basketball game. I don't want to have to deal with a bunch of kids fighting, and then next thing you know, you hear gunshots, and then that's not what it's about. So again, this is one of those I believe is a very much a proactive division that is trying to keep things from happening, showing that presence, and being ready for what we don't want to ever happen, but could happen at any minute.
Yeah.
And so we get a lot of parents that send us emails, or kids that are reporting things to school resource officers now, or, little Johnny's said he's going to blow up the school. He's going to blow up the school bus. He's going to, shoot a teacher tomorrow. We get those pretty regular, and we take them serious. And if it's a law's broke, they get charged. I have a zero tolerance for that. Yeah. And that's big to be able to do that, but we have to. And those security guys know, hey, last night we found that apparently a kid was supposed to show up at Albany Middle and do some damage, so we're going to have a deputy on that school.
Yeah.
Although we've solved it and realized that it may be a comment that was made with nothing, to support it other than a kid just making a stupid mistake. They do that sometimes. There's no really merit to it. But then again, there's the ones that are.
Right.
And so we have a really good communication thing going on. This is carried over with Jody Purvis, who's now our superintendent, who does, I think, a wonderful job.
Phenomenal job.
He does. Jody's he's very good at making sure that he is very transparent with all the parents. And I get a lot of his text messages and that he's sending out. So he keeping everybody informed. And what we don't want to happen is these children not enjoying getting an education and being disturbed, and every time we turn around, we have to shut the school down because if a kid put a rumor out.
Yeah.
And look, it's sometimes can be difficult to differentiate. What's a rumor, what's not a rumor. But this division has absolutely proved himself. They did a great job. There's a lot of guys from we have some retirees from the Baton Rouge City Police Department, friends of mine that we've brought on that are very capable. I have some retired deputies that are very capable. They still have to do their training. They have to be post-certified and have to have their police officer standard training up to par. And of course, we provide that training. So these are not just, some retired guy with his feet propped up. These are legitimate law enforcement certified deputies, and you can't work that school unless you have that certification.
100%.
And so I'm very proud of it. I'm so glad that we had the partnership with the school, so it's affordable to both of us.
Yeah.
And because these are the things that we can't afford not to do.
Yeah.
You know, any parent out there, like me or love me, hate me or whatever, you want to see that blue and white or any mark unit sitting in front of that school if your kid goes there.
100% agree with that.
You want that.
And it's proactive.
It's very proactive. And again, I don't have them in every classroom where we would feel even safer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we do the best that we can do with what we have. And we're doing a lot more than other people are able to do. Not that they don't want to do it, but we have been afforded the opportunity to do this. And so the plan is working. I'm a very open door type sheriff. I like my deputies to bring me information or ideas that they think, hey, we can make this more efficient. We can do this better. And we look at it and, hey, maybe we can. Maybe do this or do that. So that kind of helps be more, I guess, real well-rounded in what we do every day to be able to, again, keep not only our citizens safe, keep our kids safe, put the criminals where they need to be, behind bars. We also program them in. You touched on earlier, we're not going to really talk about, but there are criminals too that sometimes if you give them the opportunity, they're not a criminal anymore.
Right.
And those are the kind of things that we try to work on at the sheriff's office. And my mission's always been simple. I just want to make sure that we serve and protect the people of Livingston Parish, and make sure that when you go to bed at night that you sleep sound and you don't have to worry about your kids riding a bike down the street, a drug deal going on in your front yard, that kind of stuff. And I know we're not 100% perfect, but I think we do a really good job of making sure the community in Livingston Parish is a safe place, with the fastest growing parish here in the state of Louisiana, that we've been able to maintain that safetiness for you as a parent. Because I can tell you, I'm going to speak for all the husbands that live here in Livingston Parish. When your wife says she's going to run down to Jubin Crossing and go shopping, you don't even bat your eye. But when she says she's going to cross a bridge, you probably tell her to grab her gun.
Nailed it. Yeah.
So I don't need to say any more about that. And I'm not talking bad about across the river, because Sid Gosher is probably one of my closest sheriffs.
Great guy.
And they're so much bigger than us. They have a huge city. They have bigger issues, and that, look, we arrest a lot of people over in the Jubin Road area. We have a lot of shoplifting issues, and it's not perfect over there. But my statement is what it is, and it's the truth. Yeah,
you say grab the gun. I say don't go there. I mean, especially my daughters who are 20s now.
Yeah.
If they even mention going to certain aspects of Baton Rouge, even the mall area, which used to be a pretty safe place, now, no, you can go to Jubin right there and do your shopping.
And look, and some of it's a perception. I mean, that's just how we know that. I mean, there's areas in Baton Rouge that's very safe.
Sure.
And but it's that feeling you get, and I don't want you to go across that river. Like, you just don't go. Why do you have to go there? Yeah. And then look, and a lot of that too is us, because we know we got to go now. Right.
That's right.
Just go to Jubin. I don't want to go shopping today.
Cross that river.
I don't want to have to cross that river.
I do it all the time.
But that's just, that's who we are. We're protective of them and our family. And,
that's right.
And you just can't help it. And I know that, the deputies we have here, they love this parish. They live in this parish. Their kids go to school here, and I know the compassion they do have for serving here in Livingston Parish, and that's the compassion that I try to show each and every day when I go to work, and try to make sure that we provide the citizens with what they have, and that has always been a safe place to live, work, and raise your family, and we're going to continue to do that.
Yes.
That's what we're going to do.
I agree. And before we get out of here, I would be very remiss if I did not mention, you've said behind the scenes a few times and,
trying to give you a hint, man.
You know, you have an amazing, podcast. Look, folks, I can't think of many podcasts out there where you really get a human side. You get a look at the human side of what goes on in a large department, like you get with Behind the Scenes, which is a podcast hosted by you, where you feature not only cases that you have covered and closed with the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, but also the people that are working them. Some of the programs we've talked about today are on that, such as ICAC. You have several episodes with ICAC on Behind the Scenes. And if you've noticed, the sheriff's been very sharp today when we've done this podcast, and that's because he has really worked himself into being a heck of a podcaster, quite frankly. Maybe some hidden talent there that has come out in you.
That I didn't know I had, I guess. But, you know, Lori and I, Lori Steele, who's my public information officer, you know, and I'm saying this in front of her because she's hiding in the corner of the room over here. But her and I spoke about this, and we were able to get the equipment, and we were able to kind of set up a room in our training facility. And I was a little reserved about it, which I am about a lot of things. And in mind, you know, commitment issue, you're trying to do that, but trying to be transparent with your people and trying to really show them and introduce what the sheriff's office is all about, and kind of came up with this behind the scenes with Sheriff Jason Ard. I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted it to be about what we do in our mission and what we accomplish each and every day, and be very educational and really take you behind the scenes. And the way to do that is to pull these deputies with so many multiple personalities into a podcast room, sweating because they don't know what they're going to get into, and then watching them kind of relax a little bit and have a general conversation about a case they worked. And all I'm trying to do is tell you about this, but let them tell their stories. And you are seeing the category of person you have is sitting there.
Yeah.
I mean, you have them that's came on the show that's been here 10 years, some maybe a little less. Today we had some 28, 30 years. I mean, we've had some veterans working these cases that are truly amazing cases that when they get on the scene, they turn into a different person and they get it done. And I mean, we're working on a homicide that we worked on today. Yeah. And I mean, you were there, and Jim gets to come in and listen to all this. I picked on you today because I know when we're doing good because Jim taps his foot.
Yeah, I do.
And so I observe. I'm very good at that too. I observe things. So, but as we're going, you see how fast that case unfolded.
Yeah. And
within hours, we have a bad guy in handcuffs on a homicide, and we're working with crime, State Police Crime Lab, trying to, make sure we do the process the scene. We have 2 scenes. We have multiple people that possibly witnesses. It's a lot going on, but trying to put all that together, tell our story, and make it, like I said, interesting.
Very interesting.
But my thing is, I really want to show the talent of the deputies that are sitting there, and we even point out things that we've maybe done wrong, or a mistake that was made, but also, this is how it came about, and that's the big thing about this podcast, of making sure that we do take you behind the scenes and tell you the things that we want you to know. And we don't really hold back.
No.
I mean, we try to say everything that we can, and because that's what actually goes on. There's a lot of things that you don't know. And you shouldn't know without listening to this podcast of how these cases unfold.
That's right. It's an accurate depiction of what it's like to be, investigating that case, working that case. And I'll tell you this, one of the most amazing series you have done yet was the one that just wrapped with Corporal Sean Kelly. This was a way to learn about who this hero, this man that gave his life in law enforcement, literally, who this man was. You hear from his daughter. You hear from those that worked with him. And what a personality he was. I was fortunate to know him personally, and just a force of nature with his personality. It's interesting to hear his friends talk about him, and see that contrast between that and his daughter, who
truly amazing young lady. And, I've been very fortunate and had the honor of speaking at some little small events for Corporal Kelly. And I was very upfront in the very beginning. I didn't really know Sean that well. I knew of him. I've shook his hand before. We served the same community, but I didn't really know him. And through this podcast, I got to know him.
Yes.
And listening to the stories from his friends and his coworkers, and it's like I knew him.
Yeah.
And he was such a great guy, and always wanting to be the first one to step up and train people, and loved to joke behind the scenes and play pranks on his neighbor, which was another Dillon Springs officer, Scooby. He just learning their relationships and learn. Sean's, he's just like we are. He was a father, he was a husband, and he was one heck of a law enforcement officer. And he was a great friend and loved serving his community. And so that whole episode gave me the opportunity to kind of meet them. And actually at the end, it was like, you know what? I now know who Corporal Sean Kelly was.
That's right. And because of that podcast, now so many people who didn't will and do. And so that's why these podcasts like this and the transparency that you offer, that's why it's so important.
Yeah.
And so thank you for opening up, your department in that way where people can see that this was done by choice. Sheriff Ard chose to do this.
Yeah.
And it's really a benefit to the entire public.
Well, I appreciate it. And again, we have some very interesting cases that have went on in Livingston Parish.
Yeah.
And, that's where the entertainment part comes in. Yeah. But I also, again, like to make sure that we introduce these cases in a way that it can not only just be a learning point, but hey, these are the deputies that are working your scenes.
Yeah.
If something ever happens, these are the ones with the boots on the ground that are, given their spare time. And a lot of these guys are getting called out to these scenes. Look, this one we just did, which was the one that happened in Dillon Springs and I'll go and give them a little hint. It was over the Dunn Road area. It was the massage therapist that actually went to a house and she gave massages. Yeah. And she wound coming up missing, and it was and we kind of just take you through the whole thing. So we have these things that happen all the time.
Yeah. And
we want to make it interesting as far as just telling the story. And again, point out the talent of these deputies and let you know that, look, we are prepared. We are very capable of doing this. And that's kind of, keep things going. But again, transparency is important. We want you to, tune in, listen. And we don't always just do, those. It's a variety of things that we talk about.
All over the gamut. So everything from programs to SROs. You did a podcast on that. You've done a podcast on the financial crimes division.
Which to me was one of the most interesting, most educational eye-openers for me, myself. I mean, I know a lot about that, but that division there is kind of that division like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That y'all are able to do that.
Got to be a human calculator to figure
exactly,
out.
But they do, man.
It's unbelievable.
It is. And I can go on and on about the different divisions and the things that they've accomplished and the good. I know there's always those that we don't bring justice to. We're not able to make a good case on.
Yeah.
We're never going to be perfect, but we try really hard to be perfect. And it's just sometimes it's impossible, but you just get up, brush your shoulders off and keep going and try to do even better the next time.
That's right. And so I'm going to link in the description of this podcast, the link so you can go follow on YouTube, Behind the Scenes with Sheriff Jason Ard. And you just click that that follow button, and you'll be notified every time a new episode drops. So make sure you do that. Before we get out of here, one more thing, back to Christmas Crusade. I'll just spit out some dates here for people. Applications are being accepted December 1st through 5th and 8th through the 12th.
Right.
And so that'll be at the training center, correct?
So, yes, the training center over on Woodside Drive, we actually start collecting the donations, the monetary donation and toys on November the 29th, I believe it is. That's the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And so you'll see deputies outside of all 3 Walmart locations. You'll see them at Bass Pro. And those deputies, you can drop off new toys. You can drop off the monetary donations. I think we now have a QR code. You can actually just make a donation that way. And so then December the 1st, we'll be taking applications. The best way to do this, if you will download the LPSO app, Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office app, you can go and you can actually get a printout of whatever you need. You can actually, it will take you and give you a guideline of everything you need to know about our Christmas Crusade program. We have a lot of people who want to help out. They want to do, collect toys. So that will help you get the information you need by just downloading the app.
That's right. And business owners with big pockets, they are a nonprofit 501c, so you can get a tax donation.
You can.
All my business owner friends out there that are looking for that end of the year, you know what? Pay Sheriff Jason Ard's Christmas Crusade and not, the tax man at the end of the year with the federal government.
Yeah, taxes is such a bad subject.
I'd rather give it to you, Sheriff.
Right. And I know they say, well, I'm already giving it to you. I said, look, I'm only the collector. I don't do anything. I only collect it. That's my duty, sworn duty, and the Constitution tells me I have to do it.
That's it. That's it. So we're going to honor the Constitution. That's for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We should do this at least once a year, maybe just have a wrap up of what's been going on in policing that year, and
be proud to do that.
Talk about all those things. But I do appreciate you coming on. Thank you for all you do for the sheriff's office. There is no one more pro-police than Jim Chapman, and I can tell you I am super proud of every one of you over there. So many personal friends with the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. And I do want to say this. Halloween just passed, and one thing I noticed this year, and this is I don't think it's a political thing, but in stark contrast to the last 4 years, let's say, one thing I told my wife was, I don't see as many policemen and firemen dressed up, these kids that come to your house and you hand candy to. This year I saw a ton of them, and that made me happy. Because when I was a kid, that was the first thing I ever wanted to be, was a homicide. Of all things, maybe that makes me a little bit crazy. I don't know, but I was the fan of a show where the guy, the star of that show was Fred Dreyer. It was called Hunter, and he was loved that show, and he was a homicide detective, and that's what I wanted to be at about 12 years old, and so I'm glad it seems like kids are going back to such an honor profession.
It's funny you say that. I actually have received about a half a dozen photos of some were random people, some were friends of mine, with their kids, either with a cop hat on, a cowboy hat on. They was a sheriff for Halloween, and it was a very. It's always a little. Makes your heart feel warm whenever you know those kids are wanting to be a police officer or a firefighter.
That's right.
And so I think it was several little cowboy hats that were popping up every now and then with the sheriff badge on. And just makes you feel good.
Love that. It really does. And so thank you so much for listening. Please check out, thank these guys at Christmas Crusade. They don't do it for the thanks, but go up to them, shake their hand, and tell them thank you for keeping us safe here in Livingston Parish when you see them out and about collecting these toy donations. And until next time, I'm Jim Chapman, reminding you, love your community, support local business and local sheriff's departments, and keep leading. Thank you very much.